The sanctity of this place has been fouled.
Ahoy everyone, Econael here. I want to show you a great mod that I found. It's for Diablo 1 and it's called Belzebub. The most prominent feature that you're looking at right now is that it's running the game in 1080p 60. Now there's support for any resolution as well as windowed mode. At first glance, being able to see more could possibly break the game, but the darkness helps to cover up the dungeons a lot. I gotta say, seeing the sprites at this resolution makes Diablo 1 hold up graphically even nowadays. There are tons of user interface improvements. For example, you get visual trade windows, just like in any modern ARPG, instead of the text-based ones that are in vanilla Diablo 1. There is also floating combat text and quest markers. You can hold to attack now, so you won't be thrashing your mouse anymore. The character screen shows way more information, for example DPS. There are labels for items on the ground. There are 2 weapon sets that you can switch between. NPCs walk around town. There's a shared stash, etc. Basically all stuff that we grew to expect from modern ARPGs brought to a classic. That's not where the mod ends though. It intervenes in the gameplay as well. There are more magical and rare items early on, as well as rare mini-bosses, but the economy is still balanced. The mod introduces 5 skills per class. If you haven't played Diablo 1 before, that's a big deal, since the classes would each have only 1 skill of limited utility, and most of the utility in the game would come from spellbooks, which everyone with the prerequisite magic attribute can learn. Geet, the trader which allows you to gamble on items from Diablo 2, has also visited town. There are 2 new classes, the Barbarian and the Assassin, as well as the Necromancer, who still seems to be in development according to the forums. Quests have been added and changed. For example, the Butcher quest, which is one of the first. The Butcher has his own sub-level where you can't cheese him with the old tactics, where you would lock yourself or him into a small space where you could shoot through the grate. Now that doesn't work in his new arena anymore, which is a good improvement. New spells have been added, for example the Dark Pact, which allows you to sacrifice life for mana once a minute. There are new unique items, item types, suffixes and sets, as well as crafting. Overall, the mod seems to stay pretty true to the original experience, most of the time. Now, there are some changes that I don't approve of. For example, I liked the permanent nature of the shrines in Diablo 1, but they are now temporary. Vanilla Diablo 1 has 31 shrines, all of which are cryptic in their effects, which adds to the horrific ambience. Many of which have permanent effects, and some have deleterious effects. Now that number got reduced to 20 in Diablo 2, of which only 1 had a permanent effect and only 1 had a negative effect. Then in Diablo 3, before Reaper of Souls, I haven't played that one yet, there were only 5 shrines, all with positive and temporary effects. Now this signifies a change in focus, which is the one big difference that there is between Diablo 1 and Diablo 2 and 3 in my opinion. Diablo 1 started development as a turn-based roguelike, and even though it turned into a real-time action RPG, the movement is still slow and deliberate, which gives the player opportunity to position himself properly in combat, and it directs the focus towards the horrific ambience of the game because you cannot easily run away. The dark and gloomy corridors under the cathedral are the focus of the game, and they are filled with God knows what. It was a horror game. Now Diablo 2 changed the focus away from horror towards fast-paced action where you speedrun through well-lit outdoor zones, take out hordes of enemies and focus on numbers, loot and min-maxing. Now don't take me wrong, this is not a disapproval of fast and modern ARPGs, but I'm saying there is merit in what makes vanilla Diablo 1 different. The Belzebub mod makes playing Diablo 1 feel more like you're playing Diablo 2 in ways that are mostly good, for example the user interface changes, and sometimes bad, for example the changes in the shrines that I don't like. But I think the compromise is a small one. I think if you've played Diablo 1 before, using the mod is a no-brainer if you want to play it again. If you haven't experienced vanilla Diablo 1 before, I suggest you try that before playing with the mod. You'll find a link to the mod in the description. Thanks for watching and keep playing.